Hi everyone, Linda here from Create Your Future, and I have a video today from a subscriber who commented under my video regarding the verge of incidents. You can go check that out before you check this out. And their question was, what was my mental diet and routine when I was manifesting my SP? So before we get into that, don't forget to check the description box below. I am still having a sale, 50% off on one-on-one coaching, and we also do have a free course on how to uncover your blocks, and manifest fast. So check that out. So, what was my mental diet and routine when I was manifesting my SP? So first and foremost, I am human like the rest of you, and been there, done that. That's why I turned into coaching, and I want to teach others what I wish I would have known earlier so I could have avoided a lot of things and manifested quicker. So to begin, I'll just give you a background story with me and my SP. So as many of us, it started off great and then they changed. Everything was going so well, and all of a sudden something changed. So that's kind of the story that I had. Basically, it was already a fluke how we met because he lived in my friend's condo, and I was at my friend's condo with her and her boyfriend every weekend, never saw him there. By fluke, they realized they recognized each other from high school. They saw each other across their balconies, invited him over, and that's how we met. So how we never met before that already was like coincidence. Remember, there's no such thing as a coincidence. And everything started off amazing. Flowers, dates, concerts, meeting his kids, meeting his mom, sleeping over and all that. And then he changed. So what I mean by that is when we don't have resistance or expectations, everything's fine. In the beginning, things are cool. There's no feelings. You're just going with the flow. However, once your feelings get attached, and now I'm starting to like this person, and now I'm fearing if they leave, and I don't want them to break up and any of that. So then I started to worry about, how about if they left? How about if there was somebody else? Maybe, because their situation with their ex, they're not ready for commitment. And all those old fears, based on our self-concept and our mental diet, started to creep in. They weren't factual. I never had any sign to think or believe that something negative was going to happen, but the purpose of our subconscious mind is to predict and protect. So basically, when something happens, your subconscious mind is going to predict and protect you by doing something like this. For example, the minute you start liking somebody, your subconscious mind is going to say, Linda, don't get your hopes up too high. This might be too good to be true. You better brace for impact and wait for the other shoe to drop, because remember what happened last time. Don't get too excited, because if this fails again, you're going to be heartbroken. But if you prepare for the failure and then something negative happens, like it won't hurt as bad, that's what the subconscious does. So now we're starting to think, wait a minute, he normally calls me at 6 o'clock, and 6:05 would roll around, 6:30, and I was already thinking, he's not going to call. Maybe he's talking to someone else. Is he losing interest? That's where my mind automatically was going. So I was trusting the unseen in the negative story, because our subconscious mind likes the familiar chaos. It's more comforting to just experience on autopilot by default the stories and the thoughts we've been thinking for all these years. And so what ended up happening was, eventually, even though I never took 3D action, like maybe in my 20s I might have, but I never took 3D action. I never confronted him. I never yelled at him. I never rang down his phone or asked him where was he and why didn't he call. I never did any of that. I didn't post something on social media for him to get the hint or to see if he would like it. I never asked his friends and family about him. None of that. But it was all done mentally. That's how strong our subconscious mind is. That's how strong our imagination was. I was able to imagine every worst case scenario possible without any proof. Maybe there's another girl. Maybe he's back with the ex. Maybe even if he did something nice, like give me flowers, instead of being like, oh yes, I manifest the flowers, he really likes me, I was like, oh, that's weird. Like I didn't even feel worthy enough or good enough to accept and appreciate the flowers. I was like, oh, maybe he's getting me the flowers because he did something. Oh, he probably buys flowers for everyone. That's how like poor my self-concept and my mental diet was. So eventually what ended up happening was he would pull away, and started to distance himself. And instead of me giving it good meaning, I kept focusing on he's pulling away. It's been a day. It's been 2 days. He's moving on. He's not interested. Oh my gosh, maybe something happened. And of course, he ended up ghosting. I did bump into him 2 weeks later at my friend's house, and I asked him, what's going on? What happened? And he said to me the exact word for word assumption that I had, where he had said, because of the experience with my ex, I kind of got freaked out. I don't think I'm ready for a committed relationship again, which was exactly what I had thought. So I was more into law of attraction back then, where it was everything was high vibrations and you say your affirmations and SP loves me and SP is obsessed with me and SP wants me and only me. And I would wear my rose quartz crystal bracelets and all that, which is great. If you believe in the law of attraction stuff and in energy and vibrations, that's great. However, the law of attraction doesn't teach you why it's not working, doesn't explain to you how it works. It's not just aimlessly being on a high vibration, because that's not possible. It's not just aimlessly, using your crystals or saying those affirmations. That's not what it's about. So sure enough, what I did was I started Googling how to get back my ex, ways to get back my ex. How do I get an avoidant person? How do I get an ex to commit again? And all the dating coach advice stuff came up, and all the therapeutical 3D stuff that we were told, like if he wanted to, he would have. You deserve better. If it was meant for you, it wouldn't have passed you. And that's all the limiting beliefs and more of those old mental diet beliefs, negative stories that have kept us on this hamster wheel of just moving on to the next guy, moving on to the next girl, moving on to the next person because they weren't meant for me. There's someone better. They weren't meant for me. There's something better. But I was noticing it was a pattern. Every time I was in a relationship with any guy, it was the pattern. It always started off great and then they changed. And I didn't know why. So then with those questions that I was putting in the computer, law of assumption stuff came up. So I'm pretty sure that a lot of you found law of assumption by accident while trying to manifest back an SP after a breakup or something. So when I started learning about law of assumption, that's when I realized, yes, you can do the affirmations, you can use the crystals, you can use all that. However, it's what you assume to be true dominantly is going to reflect. Everyone is you pushed out. Law of attraction doesn't teach that. Law of attraction teaches you that it's external. It's the universe. It'll align with you. You attract it in. Where law of assumption says, no, you're the operant power and you're the one in charge of your reality. And when I would reverse engineer things that happen, it made so much sense. What was I thinking before my SP pulled away? What were the stories I was creating before SP pulled away? What was my self-concept like? I kept feeling like I was always being rejected. I wasn't good enough. I wasn't prioritized. I was comparing myself to the ex, and they were together for so long and had kids. Why would he want to be with me? And all this stuff that kept coming into my mind. And so that is exactly what reflected. I'm telling you, there was more than one time where word for word he repeated back to me my affirmations, the good ones and the not so good ones. So once I learned about law of assumption and that everyone is you pushed out, and I started to really be aware of my thoughts and what I was thinking, and then I understood that the techniques were just the tools to help me stay on track with those positive thoughts and those positive stories. So I still kept doing those things, but I understood how they worked. And what I did was, once I discovered what my blocks were, or my subconscious, old thoughts and my poor self-concept was, I would add it to my affirmations. So instead of saying something like SP is so obsessed with me, SP loves me, SP calls me all the time, which is very like surface level, I would say SP is so obsessed and in love with me because I am amazing. I am chosen. I am worthy of a faithful, loving, committed relationship. SP calls me all the time because I am his peace. He enjoys talking to me. I'm the only person that can get him to feel good and express himself, and that's the kind of stuff that I did. So eventually, guess what? SP did come back. So that one took about maybe almost a month or so. He came back in, and again, things were great, things were good. However, instead of me being excited, yes, I did it, he's back, law of assumption works, greatest thing ever, I didn't even enjoy the time I had with him. And if you guys can relate, comment down below, because I just kept bracing for impact. I just kept worrying like when it was going to happen again. I was so afraid to get comfortable and enjoy my time with him and the kids and all that, because I just, in the back of my head, in the pit of my stomach, Like the anxiety was there, the nausea was there, the knots in my stomach was there, where I just kept waiting for the other shoe to drop and it was going to happen again. And after a few months, guess what happened? Same thing. Pulling away, not ready to commit, just distancing, the vibes were off, it just wasn't happening. So this time, I reverse engineered and I said, what was I thinking before this happened? Oh my gosh, I was worrying that he was going to leave and that this wasn't going to work out and how long it was going to last. So then I started to realize, so law of assumption actually makes a lot of sense, and everyone is me pushed out, because whatever I was thinking, feeling, and assuming about myself, and the story and assumptions I had about him and how I thought he would react, it reflected again. So at this time, when we stopped talking again, I never took 3D action, and I didn't take 3D as final. I was like, no, there's something that I'm, doing. There's something that I'm thinking or saying that's creating this, and like, if I can get him back again, like this time it's gonna stick. I know I could do it. I created him by imagining the weirdest, unfavorable stories without any proof, trusting the unseen and the negative stuff. But I'm like, no, then I can create the positive story by trusting the unseen with a positive story, visualizations, positive self-talk, and affirmations. So at this point, I enlisted with a coach. And listen, coaching is not mandatory. You don't need it. You can learn everything free on YouTube and all the teachings that, all of us at Create Your Future and other coaches teach. However, I will say that when you have a coach, you can actually have a back and forth conversation where, the coach asks you questions and where it's stemming from, so we can figure out where it came from, figure out the root of those thoughts and flip them and switch them. It's not the same as just asking a question in a Facebook group or commenting on a post, or and having somebody give you a one-liner, because it's different for everyone. We need to know where those issues and those fears came from. So that's where a coach, I think, is a great investment for yourself. So with the coach, they really were able to help me hone in on those things that I didn't notice myself. And let me tell you something, it's a hard pill to swallow sometimes, and you have to be brutally honest with yourself. I have so many clients that say, but I wasn't doing that, but I wasn't thinking favorable, but I know I'm chosen, but I know I'm good enough, but I never thought that, but I was doing the routine, but I wasn't wavering. Be honest with yourself, reverse engineer, like I said. When something unfavorable happens, okay, let's be real, Linda, what were you thinking before that? Oh, I was kind of worried that, the shoe was going to drop again. What were you telling your friends? Oh, I was kind of complaining that SP still being, not the best and treating me like not the greatest. What inner conversations were you having in your head? I would replay and make up situations and scenarios of conversations and arguments I would have with him to prove my point. All those things are wavering. All those things are hindering your manifestation from arriving, because you keep having one foot in, one foot out. At one point, you have one foot in where you're doing all the great techniques, and then you have one foot out because you're going back to looking at the 3D, complaining, either reacting in the 3D by calling them, sending a nasty message or blocking them or all that stuff, which is keeping you as a version of yourself that is still in lack, that still doesn't have SP, the same old version of you with the same old thoughts that created that version of SP in the first place. So with the coaching, they actually helped me realize what I was thinking, where my self-concept was at, and that's all mental diet. So back on track, I was doing a lot of the self-concept work. I scripted out a scene, favorable scenes that made me feel like I was living in the end, and I was embracing all 5 senses with that. Like, and because I dated him before, I knew what he smelled like. I knew his cologne. I could imagine how he felt. If you're manifesting a new SP or someone you've never been with, watch movies, listen to romance songs. You can hear it. You can see what they say and how they act, and just kind of embody that persona. And so SP came back the 3rd time, I believe. And this time I was like, no. And I almost had to get like sick of my own garbage. It was like, Linda, stop this. You saw with your own eyes that when you were thinking these negative things, they literally popped out at you. And then when you were thinking these positive things, he came back. So you know how it works. Like, we need to stop this. And I like to use the analogy, like cartoons where there's like the angel on one shoulder and the devil on the other. It's like the angel's telling you, Linda, you're beautiful, you're amazing, you got this. SP loves you, he adores you, he's faithful, he's ready to commit you and all that. And then the devil, which is your subconscious, is saying, remember what happened last time? If I were you, I wouldn't really get too excited. And it's like the battle, that kind of battle. So it takes a lot of discipline. You need to be brutally honest with yourself. it's not about blaming yourself or feeling guilty or feeling ashamed. It's actually rewarding and empowering to be like, okay, now I'm putting my awareness on my thoughts because I know I'm so powerful. And if I created the unfavorable things with those thoughts, then I know I can create a favorable, outcome. So my mental diet routine, if you will, some people can choose to just decide. I'm deciding that I'm the version of myself that has everything I want. I'm deciding that I'm the version of myself that is with SP and SP treats me like such and such. However, when you're in the beginning of the journey or there's a lot of the wavering, we're trying to undo 10, 20, 30, 40 years of unfavorable limiting beliefs and conditioned programming. So for me, what I did was every morning, instead of waking up like, looking at my phone, he didn't call, I would wake up and I would be grateful. I would say 5 things that I was grateful for, and I would visualize that I got the phone call, I got the message, and I would wake up with that kind of feeling. And throughout the day, when I did do affirmations, I always brought it back to my self concept and also the story of SP, because we have a story of SP, how they reacted, how you think they're going to react, especially if you have a history with them. The self-concept about ourselves, good enough, not wanted, not chosen, not pretty enough, always rejected, whatever the case may be. And then we have the self-concept story about relationships in general. Everyone I know is divorced, relationships never work out, so you have to kind of address those 3 things. So that's what I would do with my affirmations. I would say, I'm in the most faithful, loving, committed relationship with SP because relationships always work out for me. I'm so lucky and blessed in relationships because I am beautiful, worthy, perfect, and good enough as I am to be in a relationship. So I would kind of say it like that. Um, I wouldn't just repeat affirmations like law of attraction. You'll find posts that are just like, I am chosen, I am loved, I am wanted, I am good enough, I am worthy, the universe has my back, and all those things. Now, if they work for you and they make you feel good, go ahead. But that's the surface level stuff that law of attraction kind of makes you do to attract it in, where law of assumption goes deeper. No. I am in a faithful, loving, committed relationship with so and so because I am, and we're gonna find out what was blocking us from bringing it in. If it was that easy, if we didn't have to be so disciplined, if it wasn't such a hard pill to swallow, guess what? I could just say, I'm a millionaire, I'm a millionaire, I'm a millionaire, I'm a millionaire, and we would all be millionaires, and we would all be in our best relationships with our best SPs living life. So it really is a journey of self. So to go back to what my mental diet was like, lots of ups and downs. It didn't happen overnight. I also want to tell you, don't compare yourself to other people's journeys. Some people takes longer. Some people discovered law of assumption later. Some people have older, harder limiting beliefs that took them longer to release. Some people don't realize that everyone is you pushed out and are still, doing surface level things, so it takes them longer. So don't look at the time. The more you look at the time, the more you focus on how long it's going to take, and the more you're comparing yourself with other people, is just validating that you're in lack, you don't trust the process, you're not good enough, it's not working for you, and that's actually hindering your progress. So don't compare yourself. It takes as long as it's going to take. I had lots of ups and downs. It was probably about 2 years before things, made sense and clicked. And so, yeah, so what I would do is in the morning, I would start off with gratitude, and my affirmations throughout the day would be about myself, the story I have of SP, and relationships in general. I did like to script. I would script some things, and I would read that script and go to bed at night visualizing it. So when you're in the state akin to sleep, where you're kind of groggy and falling asleep before bed, that's a perfect time to do a visualization or a scene, because that saturates your subconscious mind. It's open, it's available, it's calm to take that in. But the key point that was my turning point was throughout the day, what was my mental diet like? Was I still complaining to friends? What was I thinking? So I became more aware of that. And what I would do, like when I said earlier, I was so sick of myself and my thoughts for creating it. I mean, I forgive myself because, I did the best that I could with the knowledge I had at the time. What I would do is I would catch those thoughts. So if 6 o'clock rolled around and SP didn't call and I was about to say, oh my gosh, no, Linda, stop. That's the old version of you, and those are the old thoughts you had that created him to not call you and to go. So guess what? No. Thank you, subconscious, for predicting and protecting. I don't need your help with this. I know that he's going to call me any minute, and I would give a good meaning. His phone died, his phone was in the car, his ringer was off. And sure enough, when he did call, he would say something like that. My ringer was off, sorry, I didn't hear your call, or my phone was in the car, whatever it was that I kind of revised. And I just kept sticking to it. I started to get a little bit easier. Things that bothered me before were bothering me less, and things that I was aware of and that were triggering me didn't really pop up anymore. And it just kind of became a little bit more natural. And I would just be more aware of my thoughts, relate to them, and okay, why am I having this thought? What was I thinking or assuming before this thought came? Okay, that's no longer me. The new version of myself is this, this, this. You could go into a rampage, or you can go into your affirmations, and then I would feel better and that thought would subside. And it just kept getting easier and easier, and eventually he was here. And of course we have ups and downs, and I got bigger plans for us coming up, and it's a journey. We're human. Don't beat yourself up. Um, it's like you're on the path to your desire, and when you slip up or you have a negative thought or you're spiraling, you're just kind of detouring. But then once you get back on track with your routines, it's like a GPS that reroutes you, and then you continue on your journey to getting that desire. You're never starting over again. You don't need to beat yourself up. Look at it as empowerment. You're becoming more aware of your thoughts, and knowing that I can create whatever I want to create now that I know about my thoughts. Um, and just keep in mind that the reason why the subconscious does that is because its job is to predict and protect. So for example, if you're walking down the street and it's dark and you're walking by yourself, your subconscious mind is going to make you nervous and kind of say, Linda, cross the street. Go walk where it's lit out, like where there's more lighting, because if you walk in the dark, there's something negative might happen, and that gives you that inspired action to cross the street and be in a safe environment. So it does the same thing with everything, with our fears about money, relationships, jobs. It's the same idea, but we don't need protection from those things. So I can say, subconscious, thanks for protecting me for this, but this is not a life or death experience. I'm now the new version of myself. Same with when you want to get a job. Manifesting is the same regardless, whether it's SP, money, or jobs. If you're trying to manifest a job, the subconscious is going to say, remember last time you kind of bombed your interview, and they're looking for someone with more experience, looking for someone younger, and then you're starting to say, you know what, I'm not going to get too excited about this job because they might be looking for someone younger, more experienced, and then next thing you know, you don't get the job. The subconscious is going to protect you from being hurt. But we're going to say, no, thank you for the protection. This is not life or death. I now know that I'm the version of myself that has the job. I now know that I'm the version of myself that is with SP. These are now my new thoughts. And I would remind myself whenever I had a thought, Linda, who are you being? Who are you being right now? Are you being the version of yourself that's in a faithful, loving, committed relationship with SP? Or are you being the version of yourself that is in lack, not trusting the law, complaining to your friends, and doubting because you're thinking this unfavorable thought? And it was just being accountable and being aware. And that's manifestation. What you assume to be true dominantly will reflect. So you need to be consistent, be aware of your thoughts, be aware of your self-concept so we can reprogram it, and be consistent. The less we waver, the less we're on that hamster wheel, the more progress we'll make. And as you make progress, you feel more confident in the law, and you start to see proof and movement, and then boom, it's here. And then you want to maintain this, because look what happened to me. I lost SP twice, because the minute I got off of my routine, or the minute I started to think old thoughts, because all that old unfavorable thoughts, those are going to creep in easily. You've been thinking those on autopilot and conditioned for 10, 20, 30, 40 years, however long it's been for you. It's going to take time to reprogram that. So just be disciplined, be on point, be aware of your thoughts, and redirect them. Redirect them. Who are you being? Be the new version of yourself. See SP as a new version of them, and see relationships in the new way as well. And again, same idea when it comes to money or jobs or friends or any of that. So I intend that this answered our viewers' question. I intend that this is helping some people kind of figure out how to keep a good mental diet, how to be aware of your mental diet, and some things to try to keep yourself on a mental diet so that you can manifest your desires faster. And if you need more help, like I said, I would love to help you out. You can book a session with me, and I would love to help you with your mental diet and uncovering those blocks so you can also manifest your desires fast. So until next time, see you soon.